Hey guys, it's Squall, and welcome to Sounds of Her Love. Something is ringing. Why won't it stop? My hand limply reaches out towards the noise, but I can't seem to locate it. Must be around here somewhere. I sense something rigid at my fingertips. Suddenly I hear a loud crash beside me. The ringing stops. Forcing myself upright, an intense light greets my eyes. Beside me stands a hazy figure I can't make out. Do you mind not making so much noise in the morning? Your sister is still asleep. As my eyes adjust to the light, I see my mother standing beside me. I look downwards and see my table lying on the floor, my alarm clock just next to it, broken into pieces. That's 12 hours of bad luck. I'm not cleaning that up. Just get ready for school and come downstairs. I made breakfast. My mother walks off. I don't think she's particularly happy. Well, I doubt many parents would be with their children, creating such a ruckus. I already noticed the typo. Children. Still, it wasn't my fault. I was half asleep, for crying out loud. I pry myself away from the bed sheets and pick up the table and the broken alarm clock off the floor. I check what the clock once read and conclude it's almost 7 a.m. Unfortunately, today is a Monday, so it's back to school with me. Although it's cliche, I'm not really looking forward to it. It's not like I dislike it, but you think after transferring here things would have been a lot more lively. So far nothing out of the ordinary has happened. Though I can't really expect life to be like that. This isn't a manga after all. Opening my drawers, I pull out my uniform. It's still as good as new. I haven't had much time to wear it in. I've only been here a week. For an international school, the uniform is quite generic. I was expecting something more prestigious. I guess this is still Japan after all. Hey, it could be worse, kid. You could be sent back in time to a Russian camp. Even though I've lived here all my life, my mother was dead set on sending me here. She's not a native, so she at least wanted me to connect with her side of the family. Despite her premise that getting in touch with my Anglican heritage was a good idea, the school isn't even English, it's Welsh. I'm pretty sure that's the country north of England. I don't think there's much difference anyway. Don't tell them that. After finishing up my blazer, I hear a shout from downstairs. Son, your breakfast will go cold at this rate. You may as well let me have yours if you're going to waste it. I don't know what accent that was. Letting out a sigh, I close the door to my room and head to join my parents. Reaching the dining room, my mother and father greet me with warm smiles. I wonder if there's such a thing as cold smiles. Maybe not so much my mother. I still think she's pretty pissed. My father gives an empty chair a hearty slap, still smiling all the while. Sit down, my son. We have a hefty breakfast your mother would approve of. Of course I would. I made it after all, I was about to say. In front of me sits a traditional English breakfast. Eggs, toast, beans, sausages, and the likes. I don't think I can eat all of this. I'm down for the eggs, toast, and the sausages, but beans? The empty chair is pulled out from beside me. I guess my sister finally woke up. When it comes to the mornings, she's not very talkative, or noticeable to say the least. I'm sure she'll fire up later though. Ah yes, my beautiful family has gathered at last. Who talks like this? My sister acknowledges my father with a quick glance and starts eating her breakfast in silence. Tell me, Squall, how are your studies? Was that a hefty feat? Was that hefty fee worth it? The school is private and teaches a foreign curriculum, so tuition fees are quite large. Luckily, my father can pay for it, and it's only for my final year. It's going okay. The initial buzz of it wore off after the third day. I guess it's like a normal school. Not much different from the ones here in Japan. I did have an experience at a traditional Japanese high school, but due to our relocation to Tokyo, I had to transfer. If there was one noticeable comparison, it's the students. Most of them aren't natives, and a lot more are quite full of themselves. Even I'm only half Japanese. Oh, okay, so that's why his father tax. That's why his father talks the way he does. It's, meant to be with a Japanese accent and style of English, I suppose. Really? That much for a normal school? What was the point of that fee then? You want our son to have the best education possible, right? That, and he's closer to my side of the family? Reasonable. Tell me that... I really should not be doing that, but I can't help myself. Tell me this though, son. Have you been speaking to any girls at least? That's not even the right accent. I'm not sure if that's even an accent. What are you doing? Are you really asking him that? Both my parents engage in a stare-off. Things like this happen all the time. For them, this is only a bit of banter. That's how it always starts. Checking the clock on the wall, I realize I'm a bit behind schedule. I give my family a farewell and head towards the door. Wait, that clock is... I hear my sister say something just as I leave, though she doesn't chase after me to tell me. It was strange to hear her at this time of day, but I guess I can't fret about it now. Yeah, it's not like you could just walk back inside. I continue on a journey I'm only just getting used to. The street leading to the school is particularly empty. Only a couple of locals are walking by and the number of students is quite low. Checking my watch, I realized that I had left considerably early. I guess the clock at home was a bit slow. This is nice. I love how clean Japan looks. And I'm a real big fan of their architecture. You know, when I'm talking in real life, I have no problem pronouncing these words, but there's something about speaking into a microphone where I can hear myself that makes it difficult to pronounce even the simplest of things. Forgive me. I'm a big fan of the way the buildings are designed. I've always wanted to... A faint noise distracts me from my wrist. Voice acting. Ahead of me is a female student, presumably from my school, picking up the contents of her bag off the floor. I guess she dropped it. She drops her things, that's how you know she's the female protagonist. I consider helping her, but by the time I move my feet towards her, she is already finished and continues onwards to school. She rubs the back of her head and her braids sway softly in the wind. Just as I pass where she was standing, I notice a small card on the floor. Instinctively, I pick it up. In my hands is a library card with what I assume to be her name on it. Saradin? Sweden? No idea. Sheridan? No. Considering this is a Welsh school, I guess that's the origin of her name. I look up and she is nowhere in sight. Oh crap. Quickly setting myself off, I run towards the entrance of the school. I just hope I can catch up to her. It doesn't take me long to get to her in my sight. What did I just say? It doesn't take me long to get her in my sight. I call out to her. Saradwin, you dropped this. Saradwin turns around flustered and I approach her with a ragged breath. Here you go.
Thank you.
She gives me a shy response as I hand her back the card.
How did you know my name?
The screen tells me. It doesn't look like she's very comfortable with talking to me. It's on the card.
Oh. It's pronounced Carrie, like a K.
Sorry, my bad.
Don't worry.
Carrie still looks rather uneasy. I guess some people just aren't that fluent with others. Well, it's a good thing you got it back. We're both pretty early, so it would have taken a while for someone else to find it. By then, they probably would have given it to the lost and found.
Thank you.
She thanks me again. She thanks me again? She thanked me again, and her eyes are averted. Oh, okay, my bad, I'm stupid. And her eyes are averted slightly away from my direction.
This card is important to me.
Maybe put it in a safer place? You wouldn't risk losing it then. I know I don't have the right to tell her what to do with her stuff, but things like this are common sense.
I use it a lot. It's easier for me to reach it quickly.
I guess she's an avid book fan. She must be quite smart. That or she just likes books. I decide to continue the conversation. What sort of books are you interested in? Fiction or non-fiction?
I read a variety.
Well, that was a short answer.
I want to study literature.
She looks at me as if she expects me to belittle her, though I completely deny her expectations. Sounds great. It's good to have something you're passionate about. Her lips move. I guess she can't stop herself from smiling. Moving my feet again, I set off towards the entrance of the school, turning around to face Carrie before I make any sufficient progress. It's still early, but we should still go to class. It's a bit cold after all.
You're right. I need to check what class I'm in.
She doesn't know what class she's in? School started a week ago. Don't tell me she has amnesia. Carrie shyly passes me and heads toward the school, and I follow suit, heading towards my class. I guess she was a pretty interesting person. Classes are well underway, and the class is filled with a widespread sense of lethargy. It is a Monday after all, and lunch is just around the corner. Does anyone really want to learn about the structure of the inner mitochondrial membrane right before lunch? Hey, it's better than learning it after lunch and losing your lunch. I lean back in my chair and stare down at my notes, which are just a little more than scribbles on a sparse page. In the end, I can't really say I expected anything different when transferring here. After all, the basic principles of teaching are the same wherever you are. There's no reason as to why this school would be any different. Maybe the price tag? Though the extra language lessons are a pain in the ass. Just as I let out a small but definitely noticeable yawn, the teacher glares sharply in my direction. Bored, are you, Squall? No, sir. Oh, that's a surprise. How about you answer the question at the bottom of page 3 then? I look back at the closed book on my desk and realize what the teacher is referring to. I definitely haven't done a good job at pretending to work. Still, I oblige and turn to page 3. Moving my eyes towards the bottom of the page, I find a question that's somewhat relevant to what I managed to hear during the lesson. What is the space between the two mitochondrial membranes called? Is that the Matrix? No, that's the bit inside. Oh boy, do you have an answer? Well, this is clearly not the right way to go. Into membrane space, mitochondrial gap. I do believe that's called the mitochondrial gap. Mitochondrial gap, I mean. I honestly don't know the answer. The safest bet would be... Did I get it wrong? The safest bet would be to call it the mitochondrial gap. I mean, it's the gap between the two of them, right? Surely that must be it. Is it the mitochondrial gap, sir? I hear a few sneers from the more supercilious members of the class, but most of them seem to ignore my answer. Oh, I wanted to look smart. I guess I was wrong then. How about you pay more attention in class next time than school? How about you go... Man. The teacher goes back to the diagram he was drawing on the chalkboard before this entire fuss started. Though with technology nowadays, it seems pretty odd this school is still using chalkboards. I lean back in my chair again, this time remembering to do a better job at making myself look like a hardworking student, at least for this subject. Class quickly ends, and I quickly make it past the sudden rush to exit the room. The atmosphere in the corridor engulfs me, as everyone makes a dash to the cafeteria. Well, chatter radiates from the swaths of people in the cafeteria. I weave my way through those standing around and people walking in the opposite direction. The line is long as always. Unlike most schools, the food here is actually quite good, so naturally it's in high demand. I joined this queue of students left famished by the morning lessons. Time slows as the line slowly inches forward. All this for a sandwich? I know, mate. They're lush, aren't they? Made with 100% Welsh beef. That's what they say anyway. I find it hard to believe they would import that stuff to Japan just for this one school. Eventually, I'm the one gazing at what's on offer at the counter. To be honest, the guy was right. The beef here sure is lush. It's quite a prestigious school. I buy the sandwich and stuff it into my bag. This place is quite packed, so I doubt I'd find a place to sit down. Just as I'm about to leave, I spot a table that's actually empty. Well, almost. I notice someone familiar eating by herself. It's that girl from earlier. Carrie, wasn't it? I wonder if I should approach her. I hardly know her, but I kind of want to sit down. It's cold outside. You know what? I may as well approach her. She's alone after all. I've been in that situation plenty of times this past week. I know how it feels. One step at a time, I make my way over to the table. Her silky braids gently rest by her sides, and unlike before, her braids only move due to her actions. As I draw closer, she takes notice of my presence and directs her head towards me. She hesitates to speak, but I plan on taking the initiative from the beginning. Hey Carrie, it's me, from earlier. I don't think I ever got a chance to introduce myself. I try my best to avoid sounding nervous. Walking up to a girl sitting by herself is pretty noticeable to everyone else in the hall. My name is Squall.
Hello. Thanks for earlier.
She is still pretty on edge. Perhaps I should just apologize to her and make a quick retreat. I'm sorry for walking up to you so suddenly.
Don't worry. I don't normally have people to eat with, so I'm glad.
She abruptly stops speaking after giving me a sign of gratitude. Her cheeks turn a rosy shade of red and she directs her eyes away from me. I guess she's embarrassed. It did strike me as odd as to why she's alone. Aside from her lack of self-confidence, she seems like a fairly nice person.
I had an illness.
She goes straight on to why she's so alone. I never asked her, but I'm glad she thinks of me as close enough to explain it to me, even though we just met. Though given that she seems so introverted, maybe I am the only person that is.
For a while, I was immobilized. As recently as last week.
As recently as last week? Is that why she told me earlier that she needed to find out what class she was in? Her face continues to grow to deeper shades of red. Maybe I should converse with her to ease her explanation. Though with her personality, I don't know if it'll actually help. I can understand, I guess. I'm new here, so I don't really have anyone to eat with. It's not really as relatable as an illness, though. I kind of regret opening my mouth. Hers, though, continues moving as her lips gently let out her unstable speech patterns.
I've been here since last year.
That's actually a pretty sad thought. If she's been here this long, how come she's this alone? Even with an illness, you'd expect her friends would still speak to her afterwards. Though I am making assumptions, for all I know, she could be good friends with a classmate that just doesn't eat in school or is absent. My gut feeling goes with my former conclusion in spite of that idea. She delicately twirls the hair at the tip of her braid nervously during the lag times of her conversation. I can't really think of anything to say, so I decide to do something instead. It's bold, but I tear a sheet of paper from one of my books and scribble my phone number on it. If you ever need anyone to keep you company, then you can call me anytime. If you see me around school, just say hi. I doubt she'll do either anyway. To downplay the forwardness of my actions, I think of the cheesiest quote I can and continue speaking. Birds of a feather flock together. Youch.
You're giving me your number?
I'm sorry? Though her voice is quiet, I can still sense she's a bit shaken up. I thought giving it to her would be acceptable in this day and age. People are practically dependent on their phones now. Still, giving your number to someone of the opposite sex would probably remain direct for years to come.
Thank you.
For some reason, she thanks me. Her pale fingers reach out towards her bag, and she gently takes out a rather pink and cute-looking phone. I don't know anyone still use phone straps, but a daffodil charm swings in the air as she enters my number, her body shaking slightly all the while.
You're the first in the non-relative section.
Finishing her sentence with a smile, she gazes at me. I smile back, of course, which in itself takes me a bit of courage, but her eyes quickly dart away to break our state of eye contact. She goes red again, and her mouth is slightly ajar, leaving her lips to glisten as the sunlight enters from the windows beside us. The chimes of the bell resonate throughout the room. I guess it's time to get prepared to go to class again. Carrie stands and shyly looks towards me as if expecting me to say something, which luckily for her I do. I enjoy speaking to her, even if she doesn't say very much. Like I said, feel free to contact me anytime. Though right now I guess we should head back to class.
Okay.
Yeah. She trots along by my side slightly behind me, probably to keep her blushing face hidden, I guess. She seems to have a habit of going red. We part ways when I reach my classroom, with her giving me a hardly audible farewell once we do. And I am going to leave it right here and continue the story in part 2. The reason I'm doing this is because I wanted to finally upload something to the channel alongside Everlasting Summer, and so that's what I'm doing with Sounds of Her Love. I'm slowly transitioning the channel to what I originally envisioned it to be, so there will be a few changes here and there in the next week or two for the 4 or 5 of you that have been watching. I don't know exactly how many of you there are, but if you've been watching the videos, I really do appreciate it. It's not a lot, but it means a lot to me, It doesn't matter to me that it's a small number. I'm enjoying this. It is what it is. So until next time, thank you.